Probably the most important thing for locating fish is having electronics, and we're using the Humminbird stuff here. I've got a couple Solixes with our charts, and right now we're going to kind of dissect a point and a couple reefs that are off the edge of this point. And like I was saying, is that a lot of the reefs out here, they're not the same. Some are going to have just gravel, some are going to have big boulders, others are going to have weeds on top of them as well. And when you can find big boulders, when you can find weeds mixed in and some nice sand flats off the edge, those are main areas that you really want to key in on, and that's exactly what we're finding here today. So we've got some bigger boulders that we're looking for. We've got, I know there's some weeds just off the edge of these rocks, and you've got some shallow flats that these fish can kind of cruise around and look for bait. But right now we're going to concentrate on this area up here that's going to have some bigger boulders, and down here. I know a lot of people like using forward-facing sonar, and to be honest, I truthfully don't use it a whole lot. I rely mainly on my side imaging and then my 360. We're fishing such shallow water that the forward-facing sonar just really doesn't work that well, especially when we're making these super long casts. So what we've got the 360 set up here, and we can see the areas of areas that we want to concentrate on with some of the bigger rocks and the boulders. And that's what's nice, is I can put my Minn Kota on spot lock and drop the 360 in the water, and we're able to see some of these big boulders. And when you stare at it long enough, you'll actually see the fish move around inside these boulders, and that's really what we're looking for. So sorry guys, not a forward-facing sonar guy here, and we're going to just continue to use the 360. So when I'm casting Ned Rigs in these shallow waters, the water tends to be pretty clear as well. And you're really spooking these fish if you're doing a lot of moving around. So what we're trying to do is cast as far as we possibly can to get it away from the boat. And what I've got here is I've got the Identity series from Elliott. This is a rig and jig. It's 7'4". I've got a Vanford 2500 paired with the new Seagar PEX8 line. This is the 10-pound. It is extremely thin, but the pink, the visibility allows me to watch my line. But the reason for that is this allows me to cast a super long ways away from the boat and work it back. And it always tends to be that we always get bit towards the end of the cast, and that's why we're using what we've got. So we're gonna make a couple casts here with the Ned Rig. The nice thing about this stuff is it's very soft and subtle. So when the fish come up and grab onto it, it's not going to really have a whole lot of hard feel to it, and then they'll finally take in the rest of the bait. They've got a couple different models that I really like using. When I'm fishing the rocks, I'm either going to be using the ticklers or just the standard TRD. These are both 2 3/4, and if we get into a little bit more aggressive bite, or if we're in the weeds, then I'll actually jump up to the these are the hula sticks. These are a 4-inch bait, and again, it's probably just a little bit longer. You've got the tentacles, and as this thing's sitting down in the water, you're getting a little bit more movement than you do with the standard TRD, or that's why we use the ticklers here. When we're fishing the weeds, I like to use a little bit longer bait, just for a longer profile, so that way when we have to rip it through, those fish get a real quick glance at it, and they come over and they typically just smash it. When we're fishing the rocks, they tend to be a little bit more picky, and they can see it. So if you've got a longer bait, there's a lot of times where they'll come in and they'll just grab that tail on that 4-inch on the hula sticks. So one thing I'll do is either cut down that hula stick, or I'll go back to the ticklers here like we have on right now. And you can see, I'm casting these things, well over 100 feet to get it away from the boat. And the nice thing too, fishing with the braid, is you can feel every little rock, every little bite. If they're picking it up and dropping it, we can feel that fishing that braid. And then at the end of the braid, I've got a 10-pound gold label leader. Usually run that about 3 feet or so, just to help with the abrasion resistance from the zebra mussels, and to keep the line invisible for the fish next to the jig. Now, how I like to run my Ned Rigs, or how I like to fish them, is, especially when we're in these rocks like this, shallow rocks, I'm just kind of hopping it along. You can see just real subtle motions. I'm keeping my rod tip up so I can feel everything. and just kind of a little bit of a shake. And I've got the TRD ticklers on here, so it's got these little fingers that allows it to give it a little bit more action as it's hopping in over the tops of these rocks. Got one on there. Just a little shyster. But as you can see, he just smoked that Ned rig. Come on, buddy, get off of there. Little guy. We've got a lot of these little guys in the system. It's good to see, and he's going to get to go swimming again.